At long last, the moment is here. It's time for soul music. And not just any soul music. Today, I'm ranking my 10 favorite Otis Redding songs. Not an easy task, because the Big O recorded so many beautiful tracks to choose from. Still, I've put together a fine list of 10 songs that, in my humble opinion, and especially according to my own taste, belong to the very best Otis ever recorded. Years ago, I visited the famous Stax recording studio in Memphis, which has since been transformed into a music academy and museum. Before the museum tour began, visitors were shown an introductory film highlighting the importance of Stax and its artists, both musically and historically. Next to me sat a young guy, no older than 18 or 19. When Otis Redding appeared on the big screen, singing, speaking, radiating his presence, the boy suddenly began to cry. Otis and his music moved something deep inside him. It was powerful to witness, a young soul completely overwhelmed by the magic of Otis. I struck up a conversation with him, and he, in turn, found it remarkable that I, as a white tourist, was so fascinated by soul music and the civil rights movement. And there we were, two strangers from opposite corners of the world, sitting side by side, connected and united by our shared love of soul. Now, as I flip through Otis Redding's magnificent catalog, I think back to that moment and to that young man. So wherever you are now, this episode is also a little bit for you, the soul boy from the Stax Museum. Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of We're Only in It for the Music, a YouTube series that takes you through the musical universe, from ABBA to Zappa and everything in between and beyond. Click the like and subscribe buttons, and hit the notification bell so you'll never miss an episode. But enough of that, never mind the bollocks. We're only in it for the music. Welcome back to another episode in the song ranking series. Today we're diving into the soul music of the Big O. Ranking his songs was no easy task. The man simply made too much beautiful music. So at the end, I'll also reveal a few honorable mentions. Either way, I've got a wonderful list ready for you. So let's jump right in and start with number 10. At number 10, we have the delightful My Girl, also well known in the hit version by The Temptations, but written by none other than Smokey Robinson. Otis had a rare gift for making any song completely his own, and he was a true master at interpreting lyrics and shaping a melody through emotion. Many songs that are famous through other artists gain an extra layer of depth and weight when Otis performs them, thanks in part to his signature ad-libs. My Girl is a catchy, upbeat tune, but in Otis's rendition, he goes all in. He doesn't just put his heart into the song, he pours his soul into it as well. One spot higher at number 9,
Number 9,
we find Hard to Handle, an irresistible soul stomper. This track was also recorded by other artists. In the early 90s, the Black Crowes even scored a hit with it. From the moment the piano intro kicks in, it's instantly on. In just under 2.5 minutes, Otis pulls you straight into this razor-sharp soul song. Hard to Handle makes it unmistakably clear that Otis wasn't just a brilliant soul singer, but also an outstanding songwriter, because this one is his own composition. What an absolute banger! At number 8, we find Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. For many people, this might very well be his signature song. The posthumous hit released after his far too early death at age 26. When you listen to Otis's lived-in, emotional voice, it's almost hard to believe he was still so young when he recorded all these soul classics. Redding didn't even make it into the famed 27 Club. He died 1 year too early to join that group of iconic artists who passed away at 27. Dock of the Bay has a wonderfully laid-back feel, and it's simply impossible not to whistle along during the outro. And yes, this song could just as easily have taken the number 1 spot instead of this relatively modest 8th place, but isn't that true for so many of Redding's songs? At number 7, we find one of the greatest Rolling Stones covers of all time. Maybe even the greatest? I might upset a few people by saying this, but I actually think Otis's version is better than the original. I'm not sure if that's considered blasphemy, but hey! I also prefer Joe Cocker's version of With a Little Help from My Friends over the Beatles' original. As amazing as Keith Richards' fuzz guitar riff is, nothing sends me into a bigger state of euphoria than the horn arrangement in the Stones cover. And again, you hear those signature Otis soul ad-libs, never overdone, always perfectly measured. Otis was a master of restraint, which only made his vocal outbursts hit even harder. Every time I listen to Satisfaction, I am definitely satisfied. The tension and release that this song is built upon are simply unmatched. That's how strong My Love Is keeps building toward these absolute musical climaxes, each one finding its release in the chorus. That's how strong Otis's love apparently is. Very few people can sing about love with the same passionate intensity as Otis. Whether he wrote the words himself or not doesn't matter. In his delivery, he always brings everything he has, and he always hits the mark. We're cutting the list in half with the fantastic Respect, perhaps even more famous in Aretha Franklin's version, but originally written by Otis himself. From the very first notes, it hits instantly. What follows is 2 minutes and 10 seconds of pure soul perfection. For Aretha, parts of the lyrics were adjusted to better fit a woman's perspective, but Otis's original is absolutely worthy of its iconic status as well. An iconic song, no matter which version you prefer. I've Been Loving You Too Long easily earns its iconic status as well, and together with Try a Little Tenderness, it's one of Otis Redding's most beloved and well-known songs. But where tenderness slowly builds toward a climax at the end, I've Been Loving You Too Long hits you right from the very first note. Of all the legendary soul songs enriched by Steve Cropper's signature guitar arpeggio motif, this track may very well be one of the most beautiful. Once again, Otis proves himself a master of restraint and control. It's precisely that understated delivery that creates so much simmering, bubbling tension. And when it finally bursts open, it blows you completely off your feet. We enter the top 3 with the beautiful You Don't Miss Your Water, written by William Bell. It may not be the most famous song Otis ever recorded, but it's certainly one of the most beautiful. Otis Redding's catalog is so incredibly strong that the order of any top 10 feels almost arbitrary. This song deserves to be highlighted, because it sometimes ends up as a bit of a forgotten gem. The arrangement, the lyrics, and of course Otis's vocal performance all come together to make it one of the most wonderful songs ever recorded. At number 2, we have a song that, in Sam Cooke's version, would undoubtedly have landed at number 1. There have been many moments in my life where I considered Sam Cooke's A Change Is Gonna Come the most beautiful song ever written, though that can change from day to day, of course. Otis's version, however, absolutely holds its own, and it's no coincidence that it ends up in second place on this list. It's a song with a timeless message. Inspired by Bob Dylan's The Times They Are A-Changin', Sam Cooke's original song grew into a true anthem of the civil rights movement. And once again, Otis manages to make the song completely his own, delivering it with such conviction that you believe every word he sings. I may have a slight personal preference for Sam Cooke's rendition, but Otis's version still moves me every single time. What a monumental song. And now it's time for the absolute number 1 in this Otis Redding song ranking. When you're only allowed to choose 10 songs from such a rich and remarkable body of work, many great tracks inevitably have to be left out. And the 10 that do make the cut still have to compete with each other for a place at the top. In general, Otis recorded very few weak songs, and you could easily make a second top 10 from his catalog. That's how consistently strong his work is. But one song truly rises above the rest for me, a song I even placed above A Change Is Gonna Come. The number 1 in this ranking is I've Got Dreams to Remember. Written by Otis and his wife Zelma Redding, this track is sheer perfection from start to finish. The guitar arpeggio motif we mentioned earlier, the horns, the backing vocals, the lyrics, the voice, everything locks together seamlessly. If you've ever had your heart broken, you understand this song completely. The relationship has ended, the love is over. But as Salvador Dali so beautifully said, every farewell is the birth of a memory. All that remains are memories and dreams. And Otis gives us dreams to remember. What a heartbreaking, beautiful song. Also, be sure to check out the stunning version by blues icon Buddy Guy, featuring John Mayer. You can find it in the Spotify playlist linked below this video. Otis Redding left behind so many remarkable songs. But in Dreams to Remember, everything that made him such a magnificent artist comes together. Only 26 years old when he died in a plane crash. Otis has been gone for nearly 60 years now. The fact that we still listen to his music so eagerly today says it all. Otis lives on forever in his songs, as all great musicians do. And just as we each carry our own memory of Otis and his music, I carry with me the memory of that young man in the Stax Museum. Of course, a top 10 doesn't do Otis's body of work justice. There are simply too many great tunes that didn't make the list. So here are a few honorable mentions that may have just missed the top 10, but are certainly no less stunning. Pain in My Heart is a heartbreakingly beautiful song, one that offers comfort on the days you need it most. I Love You, More Than Words Can Say, isn't just a gorgeous song, it's also a striking piece of writing that captures the struggle of expressing your love with remarkable honesty. It almost feels criminal that Try a Little Tenderness didn't make the top 10, but as I said, my choice fell on I've Been Loving You Too Long. That says very little about tenderness and everything about Otis's catalog. It's filled almost exclusively with strong songs. Where many of Redding's tracks are built around that characteristic, and previously mentioned, guitar arpeggio motif, the song Security has a more driving, upbeat energy. It may not be one of his most famous recordings, but it's a fantastic soul stomper. And then there's Fa 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 Fa, sad song, Free Me, and These Arms of Mine. As I said, there's simply too much good music to choose from. And that was the big O. That was Otis Redding. What's your favorite Otis track? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to hear your picks. Listen to Otis Redding and all the other music from this series in the Spotify playlist linked in the description. Follow the Facebook and Instagram pages for all updates, because I will follow you if you follow me. And don't forget to click, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Tell your friends about the channel. Why not? It's greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. And in the meantime, drop the needle, press play, and remember, we're only in it for the music.